What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here. In this training, we're going to talk about where to find and locate leadership opportunities. One of the core things you hear a lot of high school students have on their applications. Everyone's asking, how do I find more of these? So today, we're going to teach you guys how to find and locate these leadership opportunities. If it was our very first time meeting, my name is Coach Tony. I've been helping fans with the college admissions process for over 16 years. I actually went to UC Berkeley myself, and I became a reader afterwards, which meant that when students applied to Berkeley, I was one of the people who read the applications, said yes to a few, said no to a lot more. Because of that, I went ahead and learned kind of the behind the scenes, the secrets per se of the admissions process itself. And I'm here to kind of demystify all this process to you guys, so you guys can kind of take the fastest way, work smart, and get the highest chance of college admission success for your family. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. Again, today we're gonna talk about how to find and locate these leadership opportunities, right? So to start off first, let's talk about some theory, and then we'll dive into the actual tactical steps afterwards, okay? So first off, where does this fit? How does this fit within the lens of the college admissions process itself? So in terms of the college admissions process, there's three main things that are really important. It's going to be your academics, there's going to be your activities, and going to be your application itself. Everything you do, everything we talk about in high school and college admissions will fall under one of these three categories. Today, in this session, we're going to focus specifically in the activities. Leadership is a component of the activities itself. Just for context, right? Just for context, the two big areas that you guys will be spending most of your time as a high school student, not seniors, but like 9th, 10th, 11th graders, is going to be your academics and activities. Just as a heads up, just like a spoiler teasers, these are not equal. What that means is that you're going to be wanting to spend more time on your activities than your academics itself. What does that mean? That means in the scale, in the realm of college admissions, right? Academics almost feels like a standard, right? You need to hit certain things. But in theory, right, two students can have the same GPA, right? Two students can have the same coursework, right? Two students can have the same grades. So when it comes to two students academic, they could match up hand in hand. So then which one is better, right? Which one is quote unquote better is the one too, right? So I think there's a lot of things than just the academics. Academics, you just want to do well, right? Do well here. Just a little recap. When it comes to academics, I actually say don't worry about GPA, right? Don't worry about GPA. Focus rather on your grade trends and your academic rigor. But at the same time, you're doing both of that. What I tell families, you want to minimize your time, right? Your time in this area. The reason why is we want to maximize our time in the activities, because when it comes down to it, this is where you stand out in the admissions process itself. Okay, so when it comes to the whole thing, one of the takeaways from this call, hopefully, is that you should be spending more time on your activities than spending time on your academics itself there. Okay, now that that is established, now let's talk about activities for a little bit, right? So what is an activity, right? So activities, by definition, is how you spend your time, right? You're like, whoa, Coach Tony, what do you mean by just how you spend your time? Because, right, if you think about in school, you guys have clubs. Students are in certain clubs throughout the year. They're involved in Key Club, ASB, Health Club, all these various clubs here, right? These clubs is how they spend their time, doing lunch, after school, one of these things, right? Sports. Don't you spend your time doing sports? Some of our students are involved in baseball, basketball, football, gymnastics, dance, right? They do it not only in their school, they do outside their school as well. There's also like volunteering, right? So you're volunteering, you're spending your time literally giving back to others for free, right? So either volunteering with through clubs like Key Club, you're volunteering through them, or you're going to a local nonprofit, you're going to a food pantry, you're going to different areas to give back to help others. Some of you guys need to work. For me in high school, I worked all through 4 years of high school as well too, right? May it be your choice, family decision, or anything else, right? Working is how you spend your time, right? And there's a few other things. There's like, for example, programs that you might be involved in. So right now, by the way, little spoilers for a future training. Soon we're gonna do a training on summer programs because this is the month. If you're watching this live in the month of November, this is the month where summer programs are opening up, and you have a few weeks until they close down again for next summer. So it's actually a really short window. So if you know kind of thing. So summer programs, winter break programs, basically becoming programs throughout the school year as well too, right? Programs are how you spend your time. That is an activity. Let's kind of make it a little more interesting, right? Hobbies, right? Hobbies. That's how you spend your time, number one. But what does that tell me about you, right? That's part of things that makes you unique, interested in what you do. For example, for me, right? I do college admissions. I help families with the college admissions process. At the same time, if you can see my screen, oh, you can't see my screen. I have a whiteboard in the way. Behind the whiteboard, I have pro wrestlers, like little figurines, little Funko Pops, pro wrestlers, and a wrestling belt. Love pro wrestling. One of my hobbies. Love to go watch it. Gone to events as well too. I really enjoy it. So when you talk about college admission people, there's college admission people. There's a college admissions. That's Coach Tony who likes college admission and likes pro wrestling. If you guys can see here, there's little Pop Mart characters of Marvel. Behind me, I have Pokemon cards as well too. So these are all like little hobbies that I have that makes me unique. Helps me stand out, right? And then what about responsibilities, right? Some of you guys, some of our students, right? There's maybe the oldest in their family. If you come from an immigrant household like myself, right? The oldest has a lot of extra responsibilities. Not only do they have to do well in school, good well in activities, they have to take care of their siblings. They have to take care of the grandparents as well too, right? So again, that's part of the thing. Responsibilities is how you spend your time. That counts. One more thing, commute time, right? Some of our sports isn't back in our backyard. We have to commute to our soccer games. We have to commute to that martial arts class that we're going to, right? We have to commute to that Lego club that we're in. So all these things that counts as part of how you spend your time, right? So when it comes to activities, that's basically a definition. How have you spent your time? Because what I tell students is if you don't tell me what you do, I'm going to assume that you watch Netflix all day. That's it, right? And in terms of like, what do you mean by all day? So one of our big recommendations for our families is that you want to aim for like 20 plus hours of activities per week, right? Is the big goal. You're like, holy moly, Coach Tony, that is a lot of hours, right? But if you break it down a little bit, if you break it down, right, there's 168 hours in a week, right? That's 7 days a week times 24 hours a day, right? You're what, in school for 30-ish hours, right? 30-ish hours. You're doing homework for like 15 plus hours a week, sleeping 56 hours, right? I know a lot of you guys don't. You should sleep 8 hours a night. Yeah, 8 hours a night, right? I call it me time, right? Like 10 hours a week. Time for the students just be themselves, enjoy, swipe TikTok, play video games, watch Netflix. I watch Netflix. I'm excited for the new shows that come out, right? You do the math of all this, right? There's still about 40 to 50 unallocated hours. And this is what goes towards your activities, is the big key. Okay. So now that we established, cool, we can probably hit this. Let's dive to the real part of this prompt, which is going to be the leadership. So first off, what is leadership, right? So leadership is basically having traits of being a leader. And here's when it gets a little more interesting for them, right? Leadership is a very, very big, broad term. Everyone's gonna call it a little differently. Everyone's gonna name it a little differently and as well too. Because again, in your head, if I say leader, in your head, you're all probably thinking about a lot of different things. Some of you guys are thinking very literally, like the leader of a group, right? Like the person in charge of a certain group. Some of you guys might think the opposite of, like, for example, servant leaders, right? Servant leaders are leaders who lead from, like, by helping others, right? Leading by helping others. People say leading from the back. It's another one. Leading from the back is another example as well too. Meaning, if you see the analogy of like people like pushing something, and then there's a picture of a leader saying, "Hey, go push something." That's a like a dictatorship leadership, right? Which is not bad. It's just it works for some people. But there's also the leader who pushes with the team as well too, right? Pushing, leading from the back. So there's a lot of different definitions, right? Leading a group, for example, right? So tons and tons of different things. Today, we're going to focus on two big ones. We're going to focus on number one, which is formal roles of leadership. And the second one is informal roles of leadership there, right? So first off, what is formal roles? Formal roles is basically the things that you all think about, right? When you sign up for this training, when you attended here, you were thinking this. You were thinking, how do I become president? How do I become secretary? How do I become a commissioner, right? All these fancy titles that people have is the first one. The second one is informal roles, right? These are no titles, right? But, right, assume the actions of leadership, right? So that's the second piece. This is called informal roles of leadership. A lot of people automatically, when I say the word leadership in high school, they think of this, right? Everyone's like, oh, you gotta go be president. You gotta be a vice president, right? You gotta go be something in high school. But what's the downside of formal leadership, right? The downsides, right, is that sometimes these are popularity contests, meaning if you're not popular, they're not going to vote for you. They're not going to pick you, especially like president of ASB, right? I was president of ASB. I won the entire school election to become president of ASB. Not everyone can do that, no matter how good they are as well. It is a little bit of a personality, a popularity-based decision is the thing too, right? And sometimes you might think you're the best, but sometimes life's low rigged, right? Sometimes sometimes life is not fair, right? And parents, I'm sure you have said to your child many, 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 many times, right? Life is not fair as well too. So again, when it comes to formal roles, sometimes it's not in the cards. It's not for us to do it because it's really hard to kind of get those. Can you get those? You can, right? So let's talk about that a little bit too. So one of the first ways, right, is how to get leadership opportunities, right? So how to get formal, right, is be undeniable, right? That's number one, right? So the biggest thing is how do I become a president, a vice president, a whatever other role you want to do? Be undeniable. Be the only role that it's silly not to pick you, right? And how do we do this, right? So I tell students, right, let's say you pick an activity you like, right? So let's say soccer. I'm gonna use the example of soccer, right? Soccer as well too. Let's say you play soccer every single day, right? You practice soccer daily to the point that anytime people look out in the field, you are there, you are practicing. You're getting better and better. Even if it's raining, they see you out there, you're practicing, you're waiting, you're getting better and better. People are kind of trying to join you and like play with you and this and that, but you're just getting better and better and better and better. And then people start seeing that, like, hey, you're going ahead in JV, you're doing in varsity, so your measurement of your skill is clearly growing as well too, right? So you get better and better and better. Every single game you play, you always score the most goals, right? You score the most goals every single time, right? So, hey, there's keep scoring every goal. Hey, this person I see, they practice so much. Hey, they keep going up in the ranks at their school. Hey, they're the ones literally doing the most like performance. They're the most results. Who would be shocked if this student became team captain, right? Who would be shocked? I wouldn't be shocked if someone's willing to put in the work to do this and people see it. People see it as well too. There's no, again, is this student, this fictional student was undeniable. Everyone recognized it, that they were that role itself. So one of the ways to kind of get a leadership position is literally be undeniable, be in a position where it's silly if you aren't that person. It's silly if you weren't the one doing that, right? As well too. When I was in high school, little quick story time. When I was in high school, I became ASB president. I won in a landslide, not even like a little win. I won like the net. I think everyone put together wasn't as high as how many votes I got. The reason why, I was friends with every single clique at the high school. I was friends with every single person, every single group. I didn't make any enemies. Maybe I did one, maybe one or two, right? But for the most part, I did make a lot of enemies. So when people voted as well too, I was undeniable in that scenario, right? Yeah, who else could it be who would do X, Y, and Z, right? So again, undeniable there. However, there's a trick. How do you do this, right? How you do it for whatever it is. The trick here, and the pro tip is do something the student loves to do, right? Let's say this student is not good at soccer. This student does not good at soccer, and this student doesn't like soccer as well too. Do you think they will go out and practice every single day? Probably not. They probably go 1 or 2 days and then not go ever again because it's not something they enjoy to do. Because the student loves to do this, they're gonna do it more. And you see this in everyone. Kids who do sports, right? Our kids who dance just love to dance. Kids who who play sports, they love to play sports, right? People who do music, right? Practicing piano, playing instruments, they love it. They keep doing more and more. And as they do it more and more, right? Because you love something, you do it more, right? Naturally, right? That's why one of the big tips for you all, you'll see that we tell our coaching families is that just do stuff you like. There's literally no shortcut. People think it's like more complicated, like, oh, what's the list of activities you're gonna have us do? I'm like, no, what do you like? Cool, let's do that. That's it. There's no bigger trick than that. It's like, hey, what do you like? Let's do more of that. And then if there's ways to open up doors for more things, we can do that. But the how we start is, what do you like? Let's do that first. Because when you love something, you'll do it more without me having to tell you to do it more. Right? Parents' life's a lot easier, not telling them what to do. My life's a lot easier, not telling them what to do as well, too. They do it more. When you do something more, right? You get better at it, right? What is something you can do more and get worse? I haven't thought of that yet. So if anyone has the answer to that, right? Doing something more and getting worse at it, right? Because usually the more you do something, just the better you get, the faster, the stronger, the more efficient, whatever it is that plug in, whatever it is that you do, right? Something with computers, something in healthcare, something in sports, something in any of the fields you can think of. The more they say you love writing, the more you write, just the better writer you are. Let's say you love to read, the more you read, just the better reader you are, right? So again, you do something, you get better and better. What does the better help with? The better, right, helps with self-confidence. This is one of the biggest things I see a lot of students when parents tell me, oh, Coach Tony, my child is shy, right? Oh, Coach Tony, my child is quiet. Coach Tony, my child is this. Little fun fact, I am not a parent myself yet. I'm only a cat dad of 2 cats right now, but I did run a childcare for like 6 years as well too. And I went to a lot of seminars about child development and learned that's how we do work with students very, very well, is that parents, what you are doing, you are labeling your child, right? So when you have a quiet student, when you have a shy student, do you want them to stay shy? Because if you do, you tell them, this is my shy child, right? Versus if you noticed out there, this is my child, they're the best as well too. You're building their identity is what you're doing as well too. Try it, by the way, fun little try it as well too, right? But when you introduce them like, oh, this one's is not as smart as their brother as well too, and the student internalizes that, that's why they are the way they are. Little fun little psychology experiment. Think back to when you were a child and your parents said stuff in front of other people with you there, right? It builds some identities in you. By the way, fun little spoilers for essay season, right? For our seniors who are doing essays, this is what we pull out of you, and this is what we have the readers you share because that's who you really are, right? But going back, going back, the better you get at something, the more self-confidence you have in it. The person who can play soccer and always win every game, their confidence is really up. If a person plays piano and they're really good at playing piano, their confidence playing the piano is there. If someone competes, right? So let's say they do mock trial and they keep winning all their mock trial thing, imagine their confidence. Confidence is really hard to hide, right? When you have more confidence, people notice as well too, right? And when people are not confident, you notice that as well too, right? So again, this is parents looking at like at your work, at your workplace, when you have presentations, you can tell someone didn't prepare, right? They're like, that person is not confident in what they're saying at all, right? The reason why these topics, the reason why, look, I have no notes. These are just literally my brain because I've done this talk for years as well too. And then for me, it's not like, oh, I'm making it up as I go. No, I've done this. If you go back in our history, go back to O&Us, I have like dozens of notes similar to this because I'm just regurgitating this out. My confidence there because I do it more. And why do I do it so often? I love this. For you to be with something for 16 years, not something, but like do it with a thing for 16 years, you must really, really like it, right? So far, I really, really like it. So that's the big thing too. Because people notice, people will acknowledge it. That's the big key here, right? So to win popularity contests, to win like the votes of others, people need to acknowledge that, yes, you are literally the best I can do, that we can do as a team, right? So that's one of the tricks of the formal there. And that's if you want to do formal roles there. However, though, that's not the only way to get leadership positions. Because again, some of us, no matter how good we do, right? No matter how confident we are, high school kids are a little weird. High school students are a little off, right? The way they think about stuff is a little different. So instead, I was like, what about the other one, the informal roles of leadership? Let's talk about that today. So informal roles, right? Informal roles, there's two big ones out there, right? Two big ones I would say that we can talk about today. The first one is an informal leadership role within the capacity, within your capacity, meaning, which means whatever club, sport, group, community you're in, what's something you can contribute? What's something you can contribute to the group, to the community as well too, right? And again, not everything has a title. Not everyone here. There's 108 people here right now joining me live as I'm recording this as well too. We don't have a title of, oh, you're this. Excuse me. We're not ranking people as like, oh, you're the best, this and that. Oh, you're the whatever, this and that as well too, right? It's all implied roles, right? Let's say, for example, and then I'm not saying to do this, by the way, so don't do this. Or if you want to, go for it, right? But if in the chat, right, I was saying stuff and someone asked a question in the chat and this other person answered their question as well too, and someone else asked and they answered again as well too. A third person asked, they answered the same question as well, a different answer, but they answered the question as well too. Right? To the world, that person answering the questions is a de facto informal leader, right? Because they're seeing someone and answering questions and going for it as well too. I never gave that person a role. Sometimes we do, right? We're like, hey, this is our Q&A person. They'll help answer questions for you. Then we acknowledge it as the formal role. But sometimes a lot of these calls that we do, a lot of these events that we throw, I never say, here, this is the leader, this is the whatever. No, people just step in, step out of these positions. So the biggest thing is when it comes to these informal ones, you can share. Let me give you an example one, right? So I just came from a coaching class where I was running a little late for those who were here live, right? Running a little late. We were working through a student. They were working on a passion project, and their passion project was putting together park cleanups, right? Park cleanups as well too. So one of the ideas that we were chatting about is that, cool, you are the main one going about and putting the group together. But what if when you're there at the cleanup and it's so big, you can't be every single place at once? So maybe this other person, let's call him Johnny, right? Johnny was like, all right, team, we gotta do this. Hey, Johnny never got the official title of like, Johnny, you're like area one coordinator. No, just because in that group, right? Usually someone rises to the top and kind of creates order, right? If not, then everyone's like that natural, too many chefs in the kitchen, right? There needs to be a natural order of like, hey, what should we be doing next? Who do we look to for advice, right? So again, that's an informal. You can share that in your applications, right? So on your UC application, on your common application, your coalition application, or the school specific applications, there's going to be a section for you to talk about. I call it the blurb, right? The blurb for you to talk about what you did, what you accomplished. In here, you can talk about these leadership positions, leadership roles, because again, everyone knows, again, at every school, every club, there's only one president. There's only one of this, one of that. But these schools expecting leadership, not everyone has a title coming in. It might just be informal roles itself. Okay. So again, feel okay with that. So again, going back again, how do you cheat this system to make it easy for you? Go back to do something you love. If you're doing something you love, you want it to win. Because you want to win, you're going to naturally step up and be that person to help guide. Because if not, if you're going from a place of I want to look good for college, it's going to feel like a chore. Maybe not at the beginning, but when you do something long enough, parents, think about it. At work, you probably have done something you did not enjoy to do, and it was miserable, right? It was miserable. You're like, ah, man, when is this over? Versus imagine you working on a project you loved. You were looking forward to this project. Sure, it'll get hard, but you still were excited. That excitement pushed you through all the way, right? And if you're doing something you enjoy, you're naturally gonna want to volunteer. Hey, I'll take lead. I like this. Let me take lead of this one as well, too, right? So informal roles, one is kind of internally within the groups that you're in. The other one I would say is the starter, right? The starter as well, too, right? Basically, you're showing initiative, right? So one of the big key traits of leaders is being able to initiate, being able to gather. Initiative and gathering is the two pieces here as well. So a lot of this is why you hear a lot of people talk about like entrepreneurial or business, right? Entrepreneurial or business skills, right? Because this is pretty much applicable to most careers. You don't have to be a business person to do good in another field, right? This is showing, hey, can you start something, right? Start something, and can you gather people to be part of the group in there, right? What are you learning? You're learning, hey, can you get an idea from zero to hero, right? And get people to buy in to this idea as well, too. Think about it from a college point of view, right? So when you're on their campus, right? I call colleges like the branding machine. You guys know cows and they brand the cows, right? They're not gonna physically hurt your kid and put the brand them, but the idea is they're putting a brand. Like I have the Berkeley brand on me, right? So in case I do anything really fancy in the world, right? Berkeley alum Coach Tony did this, right? Because then that's the brand that I have on now, right? Don't you think? And imagine if you were a college, put your college cap on. You own a university. Don't you want your students to do something amazing in the world? Because if they do something amazing in the world, you were the reason they did amazing in the world. So that's the reason why they're looking for these type of initiative kind of skill sets. Because hey, if you can show me you can do it at a young level, can we do that at a higher level? Is the big takeaway here. So with this, I will tell students, what can we start, right? What can we start is the other way. This one, again, you're not competing against popularity, right? Popularity, your fate's in other people's hands. With this, your fate is in your hands, right? You can figure out what it is that you're doing as well, too. So I always tell students, cool, what do we want to do, right? And so one of the easiest way we kind of tie this concept in is something we teach our students called a personal project. A lot of you guys know this also as a passion project as well, right? So a passion project, something about students' passions. I never like the word passion project because passion projects are, again, no one really knows what they're passionate about at a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, right? But if I ask you, hey, what's personal to you, students do know that. Parents, you know what's personal to you. What do you care about, right? What do you care about? What's your aspirations? What matters to you, right? These are the questions we have our students kind of figure out first. Then we build something around that. Because as long as the thing is personal, when it gets hard, you're going to figure it out, right? It's my parents, you guys are rock stars because no matter what happens in the world, you guys find a way to go about it. Because again, I got to make sure my family is safe, my family is good. You're going to move mountains to make it happen. We need our students to do the same thing. Probably not move mountains, but like mini pebbles, right? I'm like, hey, I care about this. I'm going to do something about it. So what is a personal project? Personal project for us, we define as three things, and you'll see why it hits the leadership right away, right? Number one, these are student initiated, initiative, right? These are student run, right? That means to be running, you have to have people there to run it, right? So you're gathering either a client base or people helping you out. And these needs to impact a community. And community is very broad, right? Community can be whatever the community is. Family is a community, right? Your school is a community. Your friend group is a community as well, too. So when it comes to this part, as long as you impact a community, you self-define what that community is, right? Look at this. Does this not scream leadership, right? And what's stopping you from starting one today? Nothing, right? Literally, you can start it right after this call, right? As well too. I'm gonna teach you guys how to as well too. So that's the thing. So one of the easiest ways to kind of showcase demonstrating locating leadership, right, is because create the opportunity yourself. So in short, right, in short, what you should do, what I recommend you do, is identify your why, right? Your why first, meaning what's something that's personal to you, basically your personal, define the personal plus your why. What's something personally that you care about that means a lot to you? So for me, let's say, for example, I use the wrestling analogy, right? I love wrestling as well too. Why? I asked, so I said, why'd you like wrestling, right? And people ask me that story. And for those who don't know the story, growing up, my grandparents took care of me. My parents worked a lot, so my grandparents took care of me. My grandfather always taught me math. He always told me to do math. I drilled math in my head. That's why I became like at one point I became a math teacher, right? But the other part of me, my grandma, she took care of me growing up as well too. And the big thing she taught me, that she taught me every single like Monday or Wednesday or whatever, she showed me wrestling, right? We watched wrestling together as well too. And then so, and for her, she didn't speak English a lot. I didn't speak Vietnamese a lot. I still can't speak Vietnamese a lot as well too. But how we communicated was through wrestling and kind of like talking about like you guys know John Cena. He used to wear shorts in the ring. So, but you know, everyone wears trunks like underwear. My grandma called him short legs because he looks like he has short legs because he wears shorts. So again, I had to translate back and forth. But it's like it's me replicating my relationship with me and my grandmother. Number two, I was learning the language, right? Learning my culture as well too. And it was a form of escape. A lot of our kids like to read or dance and all this stuff as their form of escape. Wrestling was my form of like storytelling and escape as well too. That's why it matters so much to me. My grandma's no longer here with me, but every time I watch it, it reminds me of the memories that we've had and the kind of the thing that brings me again, like a little mini escape as well too, right? So again, it's something that matters too much to me. So that's the step number one. For you, what is that thing? Everyone is different. Pro tip, it does not need to relate to your major, right? People always think that as well too. You don't have to. You can if you want to. Doesn't have to, right? So that's number one. Number two, once you figure out how are you going to impact a community with this, right? Then this is where it gets fun. Everyone's a little different when it comes to this area, but for me, I think it's really fun. What's something we can do, right? What's something we can do to expand this to a community of people? I think that's going to be the big thing for us, right? What's something we can do to impact a community of or involve, right? Impact and also think of this as involve a community of people as well too. So for me, let's say I want to create a little club. I want to create, and for those who joined, we did a training a few weeks back, a virtual club. I want to create a virtual club where I go ahead and get people who are interested in pro wrestling or want to learn about pro wrestling, and we come and we talk about it every single week itself. Right. So then, or some again, this the student the personal project that our student did, like an I just example was she was creating a park cleanup series of like, hey, I'm gonna clean up parks, and we're gonna count how many parks we clean up or how much trash we've done here. We have another student who played tennis and loved tennis, but they found out that the local country club throws away tennis balls after like 5 uses or something, right? So they went ahead and collected that and went ahead and donated to like a another group to help them with that as well too. Because so everyone's a little different on what to do, and there's no right or wrong answer. Everyone, the idea is great as long as the impact, the why is there, right? Then number three, I always have students saying, how big can you make this? How big can you make this as well too, right? Because then how big can this get, right? When the idea of virtual clubs came when the world shut down 2020, world shut down, and we had students. I'm like, hey, we got to do something because everyone's going to do nothing, which is true. Everyone did nothing. So how did we do stuff? So I have one of our students, she created a chess club, create a chess club at her school. She had like 10 kids who play chess. Because we moved it online, you remove the limitations for having to be there. So she did like once a week night. She got people. She had thousands of people in her club who did this, which is insane as well too, right? Because how big can you make this? Keep this in mind. I have students purposely think of how big you can get this because the sneaky reason behind this is that they learn they cannot do this themselves, right? They need to form a team. They need to be working with others. What I just do, I just purposely made them a leader of a group of people, right? Because again, if you say, oh, I just want to help one person out, I want to do this one thing, I can do it. I'm good. Sure, you're making an impact, but again, we want to show leadership in these things as well too. Personal project is one of the few things that hits every single bucket that most colleges look for, right? Interest, passion. We literally start with that. You're looking for commitment because you like it. You're hopefully going to do it for a very, very long time. Number three, leadership. You're literally creating something from scratch and you're building something and having the help of others to grow as well too. AKA, this is as leadership can be in this prompt, right? So this is pretty much the quick 3-step framework. And then it gets crazy. It gets wild. Everyone does a little different thing after this. But right, that's something I would encourage you guys to consider. So something that I would like to do an open invitation if you guys are interested. Every single month, I've been hosting this as well too. I'm going to invite you guys, if you're watching this live, to join me for the next month. We do something we call the Personal Project Incubator. It's basically a 1-month kind of kickstart program where I help students create their idea and help them run it for 30 days as well too. Best part, it's free. It's free. You guys can join in. Our goal is to help kind of mentor them to get them to where they want to go and say, all right, go run your project. Coaching families of us, we continue that with them inside the program. But for anyone, if you want to just get the project started, go for it, and we'll help you run it from there is the biggest thing there. If you guys are interested, you can definitely, again, go here, go on the link, tap on it, and then you guys can go ahead and register for next month's, we call it our Personal Project Incubator, and it is free. Okay, awesome. With that said, before we wrap up, we're going to do some Q&A in the chat. If you guys are interested, for any of our new families who are joining us for the very first time, and you're interested in a free coaching call, again, this is not a sales pitch. You literally cannot buy anything on this call. Leave the credit cards at home. But our goal is to give you guys some coaching to see where your child's at. Give them a framework. Again, this is perfect wherever you are. You don't have to be a senior or junior to take advantage of this. If you're a freshman or sophomore, even 8th graders, I think that's even better because then we can help you guide towards the right direction. Because imagine if you didn't do that and you're on the wrong path for like 2-3 years, then you're trying to fix everything back. Really, really hard. So I recommend any family, if you're meeting us for the very first time, just redeem your free coaching calls. They kind of put you on the right track right away. And if you don't want to work with us, no worries. We just want to help you guys out. But if you do want to work with us, you let our team know. Not on this call, they'll schedule a second call with you, and that second call, they'll go ahead and review our programs and services to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. Okay. That being said, let's go ahead and dive in some questions for you guys here. Okay. Someone mentioned clubs, really hard. I think they probably asked it before I kind of went through it. Yeah, so clubs at school is uber hard to get unless you are undeniable, right? Where is it? Be undeniable. If you are truly the best at something, if you are the person, it's really hard to kind of beat that, right? Is a thing. And again, this is the real talk speaking, right? A lot of us think we're special until we realize we're not. is the thing as well. So if you are that special, it will shine through. At the same time, some things do beat being special. Again, if there's a popularity contest, you're probably not the most liked person. Maybe the most liked person will probably beat you. Just again, they might not have the skills either. It might be a terrible win for them. But right, there's a few things. This is when I tell families, life. Where is it? Life is not fair. Wherever I wrote that, right? Life is not fair, right? Here you go. Life is not fair. So then I'm like, cool. What's something you do have control over? You have control over yourself. That's when I would say, cool, what can we do with the informal roles in that spectrum to help demonstrate leadership for the college? Because they do want to see, because again, this just shows who you are as a person, and that's what type of person they want at their college campuses. Okay. Cool. That has been the training for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that for today. And that's it. If you guys are interested in my notes, they should be somewhere down here if you guys want to go ahead and grab that. But if not, I'll see you guys in the next training.